All right, we're going to talk about something really tough today. It's a kind of family turmoil that happens behind closed doors, but the damage it does is just devastating. It's called parental alienation. And if you have friends or loved ones going through a messy divorce, you might actually be one of the very first people to see it happening. So let's get right into it. Right off the bat, let's be absolutely crystal clear about what we're dealing with here. The experts, the researchers, they are all on the same page. Parental alienation isn't just a simple custody squabble or, bad feelings between exes. It is, and I'm quoting here, a severe form of emotional abuse and family violence. Just letting that gravity sink in is the most important first step. So to really get a handle on this, we've got to break down what this term actually means, and maybe even more importantly, what it doesn't mean. And believe me, this distinction is absolutely critical. At its very core, parental alienation is a campaign of manipulation. It's when one parent, sometimes on purpose, sometimes not, basically convinces a child to unfairly reject their other parent. We're not talking about a kid just having a favorite parent for a little while. No, this is about one parent actively poisoning the well and trying to destroy a bond that should be one of the most important in that child's life. Okay, this right here is probably the most important line we need to draw. On one side, you have parental alienation. That's unjustified rejection, and it's driven by one parent's manipulation. But on the other side, you have what's called estrangement. That's a justified rejection, a child's very real and valid response to actual abuse or neglect. So one is manipulation, the other is self-preservation. Getting that difference is everything. So now that we've kind of defined the what, let's get into the how. How does this actually show up in the real world? We're going to move from the abstract idea to the concrete, telltale signs that you might be able to spot yourself. Right. So what does this actually look like in practice, day to day? What are the specific things you should be on the lookout for? Well, think of these next couple of slides as a sort of field guide for friends and family. The first thing to get is that alienation isn't just a single bad comment. It's a relentless pattern of behavior. It might be constant bad-mouthing, sure, but it often goes way beyond that. We're talking about actively blocking phone calls and visits, or even trying to make a child afraid of their other parent. This isn't just someone venting. It's a strategic, destructive campaign. And of course, that campaign has a heartbreaking effect on the child. You might hear them say things that sound well-rehearsed, almost like they're reading from a script. You'll see this black and white thinking, where one parent is suddenly perfect and the other is pure evil, with no guilt about it at all. And maybe the biggest red flag? They'll swear up and down that these feelings are their own idea. But they're not. They're symptoms of the abuse they're going through. So this brings us to the most important question of all. So what? Why does this even matter? Why is it so crucial to spot this? Because this is not just some temporary family drama. The impact is serious, and it can last a lifetime. I just want to pause on these three words for a second. Profound, psychological harm. That is the real price of parental alienation, and the person who pays that price more than anyone is the child. I mean, the research here it's just terrifying, frankly. Kids who go through this are at a much higher risk for PTSD, for chronic anxiety, for deep depression. They struggle with who they are, with their own identity, and they often find it incredibly difficult to form healthy, trusting relationships when they grow up. The abuse inflicts these deep wounds that can literally change the entire course of a child's life. And there's another really critical layer here that we have to talk about. Children who are neurodivergent, kids with ADHD or on the autism spectrum, they can be even more vulnerable to this kind of manipulation. The very things that make them unique can sometimes make it harder for them to see the gaslighting for what it is. And gaslighting is the perfect word for it. It's when the alienating parent twists reality over and over again until the child starts to doubt their own memories, their own feelings, their own sanity. And in the absolute worst-case scenarios, an abuser will actually weaponize a child's diagnosis against the other parent in court, trying to prove they're unfit. It's just awful. Okay, so we've defined the problem, we know the signs, and we understand the stakes. Now let's talk about the most important part of all. What can you actually do? This isn't about you swooping in to be a hero. It's about how you can be a truly effective ally. So here's your game plan. Step 1, support the targeted parent. Just listen to them. They feel incredibly isolated and beaten down. Don't judge, just listen. Step 2, be an observer. Look for those patterns we talked about, not just the dramatic stories. because alienators can be very, very convincing. Step 3, encourage them to get specialized help, not just any lawyer or therapist, but professionals who get this specific dynamic. And finally, step 4, gently stress that time is critical. The longer this goes on, the harder it is to undo the damage.
So I want to leave you with this question. This wasn't just about learning some new information. It's about giving you a tool. Because awareness is the first line of defense against this kind of hidden abuse. Now that you know what to look for, you're in a unique position to see what others might miss and to be the support someone desperately needs.